the right to question. A pillar of a free society, the freedom to question religious beliefs is paramount in a free society. It's not about disrespect. It's about the pursuit of truth and the preservation of our liberties. When we accept the right to question, we embrace the core principles of rational inquiry and open dialogue. This right is not merely an academic exercise. It is a vital safeguard against the excesses of dogma and the potential for tyranny. Imagine a world where religious doctrines dictate every aspect of life, where questioning these doctrines is met with punishment. This is not a world any of us should accept. Throughout history, blind faith has led to oppression, violence, and the suppression of human rights. We cannot allow religious dogma to stand above scrutiny. We must never surrender our right to question. It is through questioning that we expose flawed logic, challenge harmful practices, and defend the rights of those who are marginalized and oppressed. The right to question is not about attacking individuals or their faith. It is about ensuring that no belief system, no matter how deeply held, can be used to justify harm or curtail the freedoms that define a just and equitable society. Unveiling dogma, how scrutiny safeguards freedom. Scrutinizing religious beliefs is not an act of aggression. It is an act of intellectual honesty and civic responsibility. When we shine a light on dogma, we expose its flaws and mitigate its potential to harm. This process of examination is essential for protecting vulnerable individuals and communities who are often the targets of religious extremism and intolerance. Consider the historical and contemporary struggles against social injustices. Many of these struggles have involved challenging religious doctrines used to justify discrimination and inequality. From the fight for racial equality to the struggle for LGBTQ+ rights, progress has often come from questioning and dismantling harmful religious justifications for prejudice and bigotry. When we allow religious beliefs to exist beyond the realm of critique, we risk granting them an unmerited authority. This authority can be used to suppress dissent, stifle progress, and perpetuate harmful societal norms. By subjecting religious doctrines to the same rigorous scrutiny as any other ideology, we ensure that they do not become tools of oppression or obstacles to a more just and equitable world. The Galileo affair when dogma stymied science. The Galileo affair stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked religious dogma. Galileo Galilei, a brilliant astronomer, dared to challenge the prevailing geocentric model of the universe. His observations and calculations supported the heliocentric model, which placed the Sun at the center of the solar system. The Catholic Church, clinging to its literal interpretation of Scripture, condemned Galileo's findings as heresy. This clash between scientific evidence and religious dogma had profound consequences. Galileo was placed under house arrest, his work was banned, and the progress of scientific inquiry was stifled for years. The Galileo affair serves as a cautionary tale, demonstrating how blind faith and the suppression of dissent can hinder our understanding of the world and impede human progress. The lessons from the Galileo affair remain relevant today. We must be vigilant in guarding against any attempts to suppress scientific inquiry or silence dissenting voices in the name of religious belief. The pursuit of knowledge and the advancement of human understanding depend on our willingness to question, challenge, and revise our beliefs, even when those beliefs are deeply ingrained or religiously motivated. Challenging harmful practices, from sati to foot binding. Religion has often been used to justify harmful cultural practices. Sati, the Indian custom of widow burning, was rooted in religious beliefs that glorified self-immolation as the ultimate act of devotion. Foot binding, a painful Chinese tradition, was seen as enhancing a woman's beauty and increasing her marriage prospects, with religious justifications woven into the practice. These examples illustrate how religious beliefs can be intertwined with cultural norms, making it challenging to disentangle tradition from harm. Challenging these harmful practices often requires questioning the underlying religious beliefs that support them. Reformers and activists who sought to abolish sati and foot-binding faced resistance from those who clung to tradition and religious justifications. However, by exposing the cruelty and injustice inherent in these practices, they gradually shifted public opinion and paved the way for social change. The fight against harmful cultural practices continues today. From female genital mutilation to honor killings, religious beliefs are still used to justify violence and oppression. It is our moral imperative to challenge these practices, to question the religious justifications used to perpetuate them, and to advocate for the rights and dignity of all individuals. Section 5. The intolerance of fundamentalism, a threat to pluralism. Religious fundamentalism, with its rigid adherence to literal interpretations of Scripture, poses a significant threat to a free and pluralistic society. Fundamentalists often view their beliefs as absolute truths, immune to criticism or questioning. This unwavering conviction can lead to intolerance, extremism, and a rejection of the values that underpin a diverse and democratic society. Fundamentalist ideologies often promote an us versus them mentality, dividing society along religious lines. This division can fuel prejudice, discrimination, and even violence against those who do not conform to their narrow worldview. The rise of religious extremism in various parts of the world stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked fundamentalism. To safeguard our freedoms and preserve the fabric of our diverse societies, we must actively challenge fundamentalist ideologies. This requires promoting critical thinking, fostering interfaith dialogue, and upholding the principles of secular governance that ensure the separation of religion and state. We must be unwavering in our defense of a society where all individuals are free to practice their beliefs without fear of persecution or discrimination. Section 6. The importance of discernment, criticism versus bigotry. It is crucial to distinguish between legitimate criticism of religious beliefs and bigotry disguised as religious offense. Criticizing an idea or a doctrine is not the same as attacking an individual or a group of people based on their faith. The right to freedom of religion does not grant immunity from scrutiny or criticism. Bigotry, on the other hand, is rooted in prejudice and hatred. It seeks to demonize, dehumanize, and marginalize individuals or groups based on their religion or other protected characteristics. We must be vigilant in calling out bigotry and holding those who espouse such views accountable. The line between criticism and bigotry can be blurry at times, but it is a line we must be careful not to erase. Context, intent, and the impact of one's words all play a role in determining whether something constitutes legitimate criticism or crosses the line into hate speech. By engaging in respectful dialogue, listening to diverse perspectives, and being mindful of the power of our words, we can uphold the right to critique ideas without resorting to bigotry or hate. Section 7. The perils of dogmatism, stifling progress and dissent. Dogmatism, the unwavering adherence to a set of beliefs regardless of evidence or reason, poses a significant threat to intellectual and social progress. When dogma reigns supreme, critical thinking is stifled, innovation is hindered, and dissent is silenced. This creates an environment where harmful beliefs can persist and opportunities for growth and advancement are missed. History is replete with examples of how dogmatic thinking has impeded scientific discovery, artistic expression, and social reform. From the persecution of scientists who dared to challenge religious dogma to the suppression of artists whose work challenged societal norms, dogma has often stood as a barrier to human progress. Breaking free from the shackles of dogma requires fostering a culture of critical inquiry, where questioning is encouraged, evidence is valued, and dissenting voices are heard. Education plays a vital role in this process by equipping individuals with the critical thinking skills necessary to evaluate information, challenge assumptions, and form their own informed opinions. Section 8. The courage to question, fostering critical thinking. The courage to question is essential for personal growth, intellectual honesty, and the advancement of society. When we question, we challenge our own assumptions, expand our understanding of the world, and open ourselves up to new possibilities. This process of inquiry is not always comfortable, but it is essential for intellectual and moral growth. Fostering a culture of questioning requires creating safe spaces for dialogue, where individuals feel empowered to express their doubts, challenge prevailing narratives, and explore alternative viewpoints. This requires a shift away from dogmatism and a willingness to embrace uncertainty and ambiguity. Teaching critical thinking skills is paramount. We must equip individuals with the tools to evaluate information, identify biases, and construct well-reasoned arguments. This includes teaching media literacy, fostering critical analysis of online content, and promoting respectful dialogue across ideological divides. By empowering individuals to think critically and engage in respectful debate, we create a more informed, resilient, and just society. Section 9. Safeguarding freedom, the importance of open discourse. Open and honest discourse is the cornerstone of a free and democratic society. It is through the free exchange of ideas that we challenge assumptions, expose falsehoods, and arrive at a more nuanced understanding of complex issues. When we suppress dialogue or silence dissenting voices, we undermine the very foundations of a free society. The right to freedom of expression is not absolute. There are limits such as hate speech, incitement to violence, and defamation that are necessary to protect the rights and safety of others. However, these limits must be carefully defined and applied in a way that does not stifle legitimate criticism or dissenting views. Creating a culture of open discourse requires fostering an environment of mutual respect, where individuals feel safe expressing their views, even if those views are unpopular or controversial. It requires active listening, empathy, and a willingness to engage with perspectives different from our own. Section 10. Embracing critique, building a more just and equitable world. Embracing critique, even when it makes us uncomfortable, is essential for building a more just and equitable world. When we are open to questioning our beliefs, examining our assumptions, and acknowledging our blind spots, we create opportunities for growth, understanding, and positive change. This process of self-reflection and critique is not about tearing each other down. It is about holding ourselves accountable, striving for greater awareness, and working together to create a more just and compassionate society. It is about recognizing that our understanding of the world is always evolving, and we must be open to revising our beliefs in light of new information, evidence, and perspectives. By embracing critique, we demonstrate our commitment to truth, justice, and progress. We acknowledge that no individual or group has a monopoly on truth, and that the pursuit of a more just and equitable world requires ongoing dialogue, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Let us embrace the transformative power of critique and work together to build a world where all individuals are valued, respected, and free to live authentically.